Thank you very much for those who are here today. I will begin the presentation right now. So, to start off, who am I? My name is Wanjiku Chebet Kanjumba. I was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya. I am an aerospace engineer and a co-founder, CEO, and chairwoman of Vasilian, and also a Project Possum scientist astronaut candidate program graduate. So first off, we're going to start off with my experience in Embry-Riddle, where I did my aerospace engineering degree. So I did my bachelor's and master's in aerospace engineering and a minor in spaceflight operations. So the graduate program within the Embry-Riddle, the undergraduate program, is held up to the top rating in the United States among schools, according to the U.S. News World Report of America's Best College Guide. When it came to my bachelor's, I did an astronomics track, which focuses on orbital mechanics, spacecraft controls, rocket propulsion, structural analysis, and did a various number of competitions and projects, which I will elaborate on just in a moment. Then when it came to my spaceflight operations minor, this one mostly focused on policy, operations, safety training, human factors, and planning elements of public and private space operations. Now, that mostly for my bachelor's, that's where I did a lot of the projects that I did. This included a project to do with mission control operations, which was under my spaceflight operations minor, where we designed and operated mission control on-orbit simulation using Python and MS projects. The mission covered the three consoles that you usually would see in mission control in Houston, Texas, which include Kronos, ADCO, and Spartan. In this mission, I performed as the flight director for the simulation, where we gave some random students this simulation that we had constructed with the mission basically for thermal imaging and satellite accumulation and censoring. And it was an interesting mission because we had to basically instruct these random students in these three consoles on how to conduct the mission in taking an image of a fire in California, and then taking the data, inputting it to the satellite, and then delivering it to a certain station. Then we also constructed a real-time 90-minute mission where we were using the telemetry data from the console for 5 subsystems, which would be the TTC, TDHS, ACS, ECP, and the TCS. We used simulation constructed by the CL Corporation. Another project that I did was a propulsion system for Spaceship One. We had to do a detailed design concept for the propulsion system for certain mission requirements, such as a structural mass of 1,200 kgs and a payload of 600 kgs. And it had to reach the Kármán line, which is about 110 kilometers, and also using hybrid rocket engines. So coming up with formulating the initial measurements of the initial sizing of the propulsion system and the propellant choice. Then another one that I participated in was a 2019 Roskilde NASA competition, where the main mission was to create a crude lunar surface access and campaign where where they would be able to do repeated missions to Mars at or near the moon's poles, and then eventually support human missions to Mars. So in that competition, it was a group project, and personally for me, I worked in constructing the preliminary design for the lunar module of the environmental control and life support systems. So those are some of the projects that I did under my bachelor's, and then the school within Embry-Riddle gave me the chance to actually do my master's within less than a year instead of 2 years. So I got accepted into the accelerated master's program and started my master's while I was still doing my bachelor's. And with my master's, I focused primarily on the dynamics control aspect, which, as you can see, includes 6 degrees of freedom of rigid body dynamics of airspace vehicles, linear and nonlinear modeling and simulation of dynamics, state and parameter estimation and control of airspace vehicles. It was definitely a great time. I really enjoyed my time in Embry-Riddle, and I'm happy that I got the chance. So that's a photo, my first experience of wearing an astronaut helmet. This was before the Possum project, which I will discuss later. And then this is a photo where I was we happened to be in a situation where everyone was wearing a NASA shirt, and there was myself. I actually was the only African within the school that was doing the astronomics track for my bachelor's. Then this is a photo that was taken when I was doing my internship with one of the airlines in United States, well-known airline, and I worked under the maintenance department. Great experience getting to actually see the interior of aircraft, and getting to appreciate a lot of the concepts that you learn in school but don't actually see practically. And then this is a photo of the Saturn V from Mission Control in Houston, as I mentioned before, where possibly if you've heard the whole Houston, we have a problem type of scenario. So this is actually the actual rocket, but in display within Houston, and yeah, it's pretty large. It's pretty huge, and it's still the most powerful rocket ever constructed by mankind. And then I also had the opportunity to intern for a drone company where I was able to get my remote pilot license. So officially, I'm able to fly a drone within the United States. And then those are photos of myself when I graduated with both my bachelor's and master's. All those cards that I'm wearing, those are from the honor societies that I was accepted into due to my academic achievements. I was accepted into 7 honor societies, recognized obviously within the United States. I heard a beep. I'm just going to go through the presentation. After that, anyone who has any questions, I'll be able to answer them. So please just hold your questions until the end of the presentation. Then moving on to the Project Possum experience. So that was done within Embry-Riddle. So it was actually perfect timing that I was in the university to participate in this. So this is an astronomical research and education program studying the upper atmosphere and its role in changing the global climate. But the upper atmosphere, they mostly focus on the mesosphere. So that's where they do a lot of their upper mesosphere. That's where they do a lot of their experiments. And within the Possum project, I was able to go learn about what they do, what they're trying to accomplish with their research and collaboration with other space agencies, be it NASA or the Canadian Space Agency, and then learning on how to use the equipment while wearing a spacesuit. That's where if you see my photo, that's where that happened. So I got to learn how to don, take it off, regulate pressure on the spacesuit, and then even basic mobility on how to, walk basically. It was definitely a very interesting experience. And then also while on the spacesuit, I actually had to conduct a flight simulation, while donning the spacesuit. That was definitely once in a lifetime experience. Then obviously the big highlight was actually being able to experience microgravity in the air, high even experiencing high G levels. I was very surprised to learn that my tolerance to high G is actually very high. That even before the high G and microgravity experience, I got the opportunity to go to hypoxia lab, where basically they kept me in a hyperbolic altitude facility chamber, and they increased simulated the experience you'd feel going up in the air. So, altitudes of about 25,000 feet. And during that time, it's not that you're just sitting there. They are actually making you fly or simulating flying a plane. So here you are, you're basically having an experience of lacking oxygen while you're trying to fly a plane. And before I got to do it, I got to see people's various tolerances to that, and how people peaked off within 10,000 feet, or some people only survived until 7,000 feet. But for me, I was quite surprised, and they were also quite surprised that I was able to survive until 24,000 feet, until the breaking point of the 25,000 feet. I was able to coherently talk to them, able to do various commands on the simulation. So that was definitely an eye opener for me. Is that, yeah, I definitely have a high tolerance to lack of oxygen, that my brain is still able to function at some capacity, and then also the whole high G experience. So that was definitely having the Kenyan flag there with me was a proud moment wearing that. That was the suit that we had on during the whole training session. I'm there pointing at Kenya, since I was the very first Kenyan to actually participate in this training session. And then myself in the spacesuit. Like I said, this was me. So yeah, that was myself in the spacesuit. They were finalizing the flight simulation that I needed to do and giving me instructions on what to do within the mission. So moving on to Vasilian. I will allow this video to play, which will kind of give a synopsis of what Vasilian is.
Some would consider us a product development agency or an engineering firm, but at Vasilian, we consider ourselves avid problem solvers. With our extensive talent pool of agents, we are able to allocate a team of problem solvers to your project and deliver the best solution possible. From concept creation, prototyping and manufacturing, and innovation services, no problem is too complex to be solved. As a borderless problem-solving organization, we pride ourselves in facing the challenge to provide the best service imaginable. Visit our site at Vasilian.com and submit your project to make it a reality. And remember, nothing is impossible when we work together.
So yeah, that was the video. This right now, what I'm showing is the client deck that we have on our website. So there's myself and my co-founder Ebenezer Hammer. He is actually, this is a whole different client deck. We're actually updating this, but currently I am the CEO and he is the COO. We changed the whole co-CEO position, but this is the two of us, and then we also have other members within our team. But obviously, some of them do not want to appear within the client deck, so we, don't mention them. But we actually do have an extensive team of problem solvers. So the way we market ourselves is, if there's one thing that we've come to realize about each one of us is that we love problem solving. Like the video mentioned, we are avid problem solvers, and we want to solve people's problems. And the great thing to us is, the great thing for us is, humans, we are imperfect. So there will always be a problem to be solved. So to us, that for a business model, to us it works. So one of the services that we actually provide is concept creation, prototyping, manufacturing, and innovation services. So on the outset, somebody might describe us as a consultancy, but the way we like to describe ourselves is a technology research and development lab, where we have a decentralized group of problem solvers who are ready to solve whatever issue in tech there is. And if there's a product that a company wants to bring it to the market, we are able to help them with that. Or if they have a product within the market, but it's not, doing quite well, we are able to provide our innovation services so that we can make improvements to their product and, revamp them in a new light. So we currently have this 6 labs, but we actually have 8. Like I said, this will be an updated deck. But some of the labs that we have is robotics, AI, machine learning, aerospace, mobility, Internet of Things, which is IoT, government contracting, and the other 2 that are not here is renewable energy and cybersecurity. So this generally lists out the process that we have within our company, and then our pricing model, the whole solution model that we have, a decentralized group of talent, and then obviously some of our social media sites that one can follow us. So yeah. Now the last section about the future within Africa. So some of the goals that I personally have for African space exploration. Yes, America is involved in this. To me, despite the sentiments that some people might have about the country, positive or negative, America is a big player when it comes to space exploration. There's no doubt about that. They've made significant contributions to space exploration, unfathomable compared to different countries. So one of the goals I have is bridging the gap in space exploration between the US and Kenya. I don't see any need for us as a nation to reinvent the wheel. We can, make strides to do something even the United States is possibly not doing, or any number of the other countries within Europe or Russia or China. We have a lot of capabilities. We have the manpower. We have the creativity. We really do. So to me, that would be one of the goals of either collaborating with some of these big players within the aerospace industry, and making strides in human exploration, because that's that's the great thing about the end of the day, is that as a species, when we actually work together, we're able to construct the most amazing things that one could consider completely science fiction, but we can really make great strides in innovation and technology when we actually work together. Our second goal would be to increase the commercial space sector within Kenya. Um, Thankfully, compared to the United States, we don't really have huge military budget, or overseas enemies that we are trying to protect ourselves from. So it gives us more leeway to really focus on the commercial space sector instead of the military space sector. Coming up with satellites that are more beneficial to the Kenyan, public, instead of military aspirations. Third one would be to encourage and create platforms for more people, especially girls, to engage in STEM fields. It's unfortunate a lot of even I would say that my experience, even that photo that I showed you of all the girls that were dressed up in NASA outfits, it's there was still a small population of females within the university that I attended. Like I said, I was the only African that participated in the astronomics field in aerospace engineering within the school. There are not a lot of people, well, a lot of people, or generally females, that are not engaging in STEM fields, and it would be great to actually create that platform for them to be really interested, to engage them when they're very young, into sciences, to understand, how the world works and the potentials that we have in creating amazing things. So that would be one of my goals. And then most importantly, to make history. As Kenya, we have the opportunity to, put ourselves up there within the map of space exploration, and we can make amazing strides as a nation, coming together and making history and putting ourselves within the map of, space consciousness. It doesn't have to only be because of our runners when it comes to the Olympics. It doesn't have to be because of Obama, because his father was Kenyan. We can actually make history when we actually work together.
That's all, folks.
So I now open the floor for any questions.
Yes, my name is Professor Engineer Samir Hamir. And I'm a thematic leader here in aerospace engineering at Kenyatta University and an adjunct professor. I'm very impressed, Wanjiku, with your presentation that brings to light some of the constituencies of aerospace engineering. I myself studied at Georgia Tech, one of the finest in aerospace, one of the real finest, the Yellow Jackets. My quick contribution to this discussion, as far as the goals are concerned, and as my role as a professor and thematic leader, is to ensure a three-pronged attack. One is to, first of all, look at an aircraft like a Spit Comet here in Kenya, which is just a Boeing aircraft, to be able to make parabolic loops at 10,000 feet so that our students can get that physiological training for those who want to become future astronauts. The second thing is to create a collaborative framework, especially for young girls from STEM to STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. That is an extra addition to that role. And also to bring about the importance of aerospace in Kenya. And the military is also very, very important, because we have to guard ourselves against Al-Shabaab, and especially they are located in the Boni forest. So Kenya also is investing a lot in the military as well. So there's two sides of things to it. So I would like to see Vasilian to be signing an MOU or an MOA where research commonalities are delineated, and then of course signed by the top brass through our chairman and all that. But more importantly, I would like the fundamentals of aerospace to be started. We have already started with the KU Cube. Star Wars is a classic example of that. So again, sorry for being a bit long-winded, and as usual, professors are usually like that. But nevertheless,
Okay. Thank you, Professor, for that. Yes, definitely. Vasilian would be very open to any potential partnerships or making contributions in any way when it comes to aerospace within Kenya. Um, Definitely, that discussion can come into fruition at any moment. Just if it's possible, if you could reach out to me on email, we can get the discussion rolling on that. As I showed within Vasilian, we do have an aerospace lab, so that's where a lot of our well conversations would start from. Anyone else? No questions at all?
Hello, Wanjiku.
Hello.
I'm sorry, our chairman is going to join a bit late, just a few moments and we'll be in the meeting.
Okay.
So, Wanjiku, I'm going to give a chance to Olivia, our vice president of the association, to at least talk on behalf of the girls in the STEM courses within Kenyatta University. So, Olivia, you are welcome on the platform. Thank you.
Stars, I'm sorry I got logged out from the internet. I hope you're able to hear me along with Engineer Wanjiku.
Yes, I was able to hear you. I said Vasilian is very open to any possible discussions on any projects when it comes to aerospace within Kenya. I said if you are able to reach out to me on email to get the discussion rolling, especially when it comes to the MOUs and beyond, feel free.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Engineer Wanjiku. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Olivia.
Okay, on behalf of all the ladies in aerospace engineering in Kenyatta University, I would want to say that it's an honor to have you here speak to us today. And I would just like to know, for those of us who are interested in exploring a career in space science related fields, what advice would you give to us? Like we're here in Kenyatta University, pursuing our bachelor's in aerospace. What career path can we follow to, get a chance to be part of something like that?
So I would say I'll answer that in twofold. So the first one, for people who are not within university yet, trying to engage obviously in the sciences to explore what, be it biology, chemistry, or physics, or mathematics, what propels you, or what interests you. I'll give you for my example. Initially in school, I was very good in biology, but the sight of blood is not my thing. I'm not. If you tell me to deal with a human body, no. But if you tell me to deal with a dead human body, I'm okay with that because I can't do any more damage. So yeah, it's more to me is having an open mind to the different sciences that are out there, and then also not being intimidated at all by being a girl within that field. There were many times during my experience within Embredo where I was literally the only girl in class, a lot of classes. That was something I generally could, to be honest, I could not have cared less about it because I was there to learn and I wanted to learn. The gender within the room meant nothing to me. It was only when, after a couple of classes, a woman ended up coming to do a presentation for us, and she looked at me very surprisingly. And I did not know why she was looking at me surprised, but she looked at me and she came to me and she said, "Wow, you're the only girl with, over 30 men in here." And I looked around and I was like, "Oh," and this was during half of the semester when she came. I looked at her and I was like, to be honest, I never noticed at all. And she seemed very surprised at that. But to me, it's, your objectives, why you're there to learn, what you're striving to do. So being in an atmosphere with, men around you should not be intimidating. You should actually embrace it because it gives you the opportunity to learn from them, learn from their perspective. How do they see some of this material that you're learning? Like I said, we are able to come together to actually do a lot. You would be able to maybe come look at something within the sciences and, construct something that maybe none of the men around there wouldn't have even thought about. But you bring a different perspective to them and, they get to learn from you as well. So take it as an experience where you get to learn from them and they get to learn from you, and that we're all human. The gender aspect should not be a matter at all. You should be able to just embrace each other. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you for that. Then, considering your experience at the university and with Project POSAM and Telecilium, is there anything that you can tell us to, give us a competitive advantage? Is there anything that we can do as students here in Kenya, something that can increase our chances of being accepted into such programs?
It's a very good question. So by such programs, do you mean within the United States?
Yes, within the United States, or just abroad.
Okay. Well, that's a very good question. I would say show your interests in different fields. I think the one thing that I've noticed is having a one-track mind does not work. So being able to engage in various projects really helps. Showing your willingness to, like I said, learn. So showing that you're well-rounded really increases that. And then also your participation within the community. That's something that they hold within a lot of value. Having volunteer experience, showing that you're able to give back to the community, because it's not just all about you. It's also about, where we live on planet Earth. We have animals, we have humans that live on it. How do you contribute to the sustainability of the planet? Um, just showing yourself to be completely an all-rounded person is a lot. It gives a lot of competitive advantage. Aside from whatever projects or competitions that you may participate in, just showing yourself out there that you're an all-rounded person.
Again, thank you for your answer.
Okay. Sylvia?
Hi, Wanjiku and everyone. I was just about to ask about what Olivia said, but I do have another question. Have you had any experience working with people who did not exactly study anything related to engineering or anything technological, but they work in the field, and how was it, and what advice would you give to someone starting that?
Okay. So I did know somebody who was, I think that'd be a very interesting story. So I do actually know somebody, a close friend of mine. They studied, their main priority for them was to do medicine. They absolutely had zero interest when it came to engineering, but they also were interested in the aspect of aviation on learning how to fly. So they had the opportunity to do medicine. They worked within the medical field for some time, but they also got themselves a pilot license. And they wanted to try having the opportunity to work in an airline. But because they had an injury when they were, I believe, a young child, the airline completely rejected them. So they didn't have the chance to fly commercial. And obviously the military also would not allow them at all to, fly any plane. But they still had a fascination when it came to aviation in some way. So here they are. They did medicine. They did their time within the medical field, but they had a instinct, or propel, pun intended, to do something in the aviation field. And with that pilot license, what they decided to do was maybe try doing engineering. This person right now, like I said, a close friend of mine, they're currently doing aerospace engineering right now. They're in their 30s. Like I said, they took their time, obviously, with the medical field. And I generally did ask him, as somebody who came from medical field to learning how to fly a plane and then now doing engineering, how exactly, how does that actually feel for you? Were you able to manage that? And what they ended up telling me is that the, the thing with when it came to engineering was they just applied themselves. They tried. It wasn't easy at all. It's not saying that it was an easy transition, but for them, they first of all asked for help where they could. They used any number of resources within the school, within students, to ask for help to understand the concepts when it came to aerospace engineering. They never gave up. they still tried all their best within the classes that he's been able to take. But till now, he's made it to his last semester. Right now, he's planning on graduating. I believe. No, not last semester, but he's planning on. He is actually planning on graduating this December, and finally graduating with his bachelor's in aerospace engineering. But it's not been an easy journey. But the main thing for him that he said is he stopped trying to work by himself and try to figure it on by himself. He decided to use the resources around him and use the people around him to succeed. And that's how he's gotten this far. So I think that would be the one answer I can give for that.
Thank you. That will be of help.
Yes, Olivia?
I would like to apologize on behalf of our chairman. He won't be able to join the meeting, but he's definitely keen on ensuring that Basilion and Aerospace in KU can have some form of partnership, because one of our main aims as a club, an aerospace club, is to increase our industry contact and partnerships. So he's definitely going to communicate via your email on the same.
Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me know that. Any other questions? Honestly, it can be even, it doesn't have to be a serious question. It could be completely ridiculous. You could even ask me, how is the weather there in America? Yeah, I'm serious. I'm an open book right now. You can ask me anything. Yes, Sylvia.
I'm curious, what's your daily schedule like?
Sure. So generally, I do a lot of work when it comes to Basilion, a lot of meetings that I have to do, being obviously the CEO of the company. So responding to obviously a lot of emails, doing a lot of meetings, but at the same time, I also have a day job. I work as an aerospace controls engineer for another company. And that's a very interesting experience because it's not technically, I'm using aerospace concepts for a different industry. So it's a company that deals with power electronics. Actually, the whole energy grid for the United States. So apparently the energy grid within the United States is just as complex as the aerospace control systems. So they need an aerospace engineer who specializes in aerospace controls, i.e. me, because I did my master's in that, to help them in optimizing the energy distribution within the United States. And it's been a very interesting experience learning about power systems and power electronics stuff that I obviously never, I only learned the fundamentals of electrical engineering, but I'm actually learning a lot more when it comes to electrical engineering. But yeah, for me, the main attribute about me, Sylvia, is that I love learning. I don't like restricting myself to just one field. If there's an opportunity for me to learn something, I go for it, and take each day at a time. So yeah.
That's interesting. What was it like when you were a student, like your schedule?
I had 5 jobs. Let's start from there. while doing my studies, I had 5 jobs I was working. Because one, I needed money. Living in America is very expensive. But various jobs. One job I didn't have to pay rent, which was great. For 5 years, I was not paying rent, based on this job. Then obviously having money for food and other utilities and stuff like that. So balancing school and work was definitely very interesting. And then also starting up Vasilian also while I was still in school was also a very, very, very packed schedule. I think for me also, aside from the learning thing, is also I like to keep myself busy. There's never a point in time where I like just doing nothing, except if it's Saturday. I will not lie. On Saturdays, you will not catch me doing much. That's my rest day. At least I do have one rest day. But in general, I like to keep myself busy. I like to learn. So school was definitely a very packed schedule, and then also even having the time to even take care of myself, walk out, go swimming, go running, time management was something that I definitely had to learn while in university, and definitely did pay off. It was a skill that definitely is still helpful today. So.
Yeah, wow. 5 jobs. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, they paid the bills, so I'm not complaining. I got my money, so. Any other last questions? Like I said, they can be completely random. Yes. You're muted. Ivy, did you have a question?
Yes, Wanjiku.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
Ivy, I was asking like what's the interesting fact about space?
Oh, to me?
Sorry?
To me, what's the most interesting thing about space to me?
Yeah, the most interesting facts about space.
Okay. I would say the fact that we see it, but we can't touch it. I think that's the most interesting thing about space today. We see all these images taken by various agencies of outer space, stars, galaxies, the idea of a black hole, so many very interesting things, supernovas, neutron stars and stuff. The marvels of the universe are so vast that when you think about our lives, and even I don't know if you've ever seen the image of the Voyager satellite when it looked back at Earth, and how we look like a very tiny, insignificant speck in the grand scheme of things. It really gives a moment of being humble, in that even despite the fact of how puny we are in the grand scheme of things, we have the opportunity to do better for ourselves, and even as to the planet that we have been blessed with. So yeah, that to me is one of the most amazing things about space is we see it, but we don't touch it. But it just speaks so much volumes about our lives and universe in general.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yes.
I've been asked this twice today by different people, and I wanted to know what you think. Do you think there's aliens?
Do I think if aliens exist?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you also see in Jefferson's question? Okay. I'll answer Sylvia, then Jefferson, and then I would have to call it a moment. I would have to cut off this meeting because, well, my day has to start at some point. I actually woke up at 4 a.m. for this, so yeah. So Sylvia, in terms of aliens, depends on what type of aliens you are talking about. If you are talking about the aliens that we see in Hollywood, no, I don't believe in that. But do I believe there are various creatures that could live within, other planets or moons, or yeah, like I'll give example of something close to our solar system. If you're familiar with the moon Europa in Jupiter, it's literally a moon of ice. But the idea is that there's a possibility there's an entire huge body of water underneath this icy crust. It would be great if we could be able to drill underneath there and then see if there are any, aquatic animals within, the moon itself, that moon itself. I would be very excited about that. But do I believe like there's a race of aliens that, like what would I say, Atlantis type of scenario in such a place? No, I don't. I don't really believe in humanoid aliens, but I do believe in creature-based animals out there that evolved based on the environmental conditions in those planets or moons. Jefferson, to answer your question, do I believe the world is round? Yes. I don't believe it's flat. Science really does not support at all a flat Earth. And it's very silly to assume that the sun is round and the moon is round, but the Earth just for some reason is flat. Doesn't really make any sense. Even the other planets around, why would we be so special to be flat? Doesn't make any sense. Just my opinion. Okay, so I think, yeah, like I said, I have my day to start. So thank you very much for everyone coming in. Jefferson, I'll take your email and save it. But otherwise, thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a good evening and all the best, genuinely, for all your studies. And I hope, in the future, I can connect with some of you people and, work together in some of the projects to really make Kenya great when it comes to space exploration. Yes, Olivia.
I just want to say that we are grateful that you created time for this, and this has been quite insightful, and we look forward to more of this.
Yes, definitely. All right. Everyone have a good evening.